welcome to Creole Catfishing. My name is Jeremy Dufour. I'm kind of the head of the group, let's say. I started this channel last year. As y'all seen a few of my videos, I bring my family with me. Sometimes bring my friends with me, and there'll be a lot more people come and fish with us over this next season, especially during the fall when things get really good. My fishing trip this weekend did not go the way I wanted it to. We skunked. But I decided I would take the opportunity as I'm looking over my gear to give y'all a little tour of what I use, the boat setup, the rod setup. So if y'all have any other questions about anything I show y'all in the video, leave it in the comments. If y'all have some ideas for ways I can make my rig, my setup, my tackle a little better, hey, don't be afraid to give me advice. I'll take all the advice I can get. I appreciate y'all's support. My channel is starting to grow. It is beyond my belief that it's grown into the little bit that it is already. I enjoy making these videos for y'all, showing y'all how we do things in our part of the world, and I very much appreciate y'all's support. Any ideas y'all have for videos, stuff that y'all want to see me do, stuff y'all don't want to see any more of, put it in the comments. Let me know. This is y'all channel. This is not my channel. This is y'all channel. Okay, I'm gonna go fishing no matter what. I'm gonna make these videos either way. I may make them just for my family, just to have them, to remember these trips by. I post these videos for y'all to watch, for y'all to enjoy. So if y'all have an idea what y'all want to see, please let me know, and I will do my best to make that happen. Again, I appreciate y'all's support, and as always, bon pêcher to everybody. Well, I figured while I'm going over my gear, kind of taking a look at everything over the weekend, kind of see what I tore up and what I need to fix, I'll give y'all a little tour of the boat, the Creole Catfishing Cadillac, or as my wife affectionately calls it, the barge, because it's big and it's a little ugly. The boat itself is a 2020 Triton MVX 2072 center console boat. 2072 meaning it's 20 feet wide, 20 feet long, 72 inches wide at the bottom. So it's a nice big wide boat to go in the big rivers like we do. And basic setup, looking at the front here, I have my Minn Kota Riptide Terrova trolling motor that has the iPilot GPS on it, which is very, very, very important for how we fish. And this is the 24 volt model, 80 pounds of thrust. Does very, very well with this big boat, even in the heavy currents. And up front have my anchor rope bag setup, and this is the type of the bag that has the little deal on it that way I can hook my rope in and toss my whole bag overboard if I need. In it I have 300 feet of 1/2 inch nylon anchor rope. And the anchor I like to run personally in the front is what's called a Bruce style anchor. It's an 11-pound anchor. And as you can see, I have my length of chain on it, tied to the back, zip tied to the front. That way in case I ever lose it. It's about 5 feet of chain. And I also have my stainless steel ring for my anchor buoy, which helps me pull my anchor up in these heavy currents. It's a hell of a lot faster than doing it by hand. It works great for me. And just right here, I have my little length of rope in my front storage box for when I'm docking. I can just pull my rope out and I do what I need to do. Big 40-gallon live wells in the front with the double doors. I keep these folding lawn chairs in the boat because, as you can see, I don't have any pedestal seats mounted in this boat. The reason being is I like to keep my floor space as clean and open as possible in this boat, because sometimes you're handling these big catfish, sometimes they want to go where they want to go. So I want to be able to walk, run, crawl around wherever I want in the boat and not have anything in my way. So as you can see, this boat, I have a 9-gallon bait well in the front, which I use fairly often. Keep me a little net in the front to catch the fish. Got my fillet knife right here to cut my bait. Here's a look at that big old live well in the front. Plenty good enough to put me some good size eater catfish and bring home if I want. I don't fish tournaments. I don't have any need to keep a 80-pound fish alive. They go back in the water. And you can see here my bimini top that I added recently. Very, very good purchase for me, and especially in this hot Louisiana weather. Took the advice of a friend of mine, Chris Souders, who told me that they run the square tubing models on theirs, 4 rows, because they're a little longer. This one's 8 foot long, and the square tubing, he said, helps a lot with the strength and the speed rating. This one is actually the pontoon boat model. You know, that's the one you have to get the one with the square tubing. But it has been great. I can run this boat wide open with the top up, no problem at all. Handles it all day long. Moving on to the back, I added myself one of these Millennium seats for a captain's chair to drive the boat, which is extremely comfortable for those long runs up the river. I absolutely love it, but I can still run it standing up if I want to. Then looking at the instruments, there's my Lowrance Elite 9 Ti2. Don't leave home without it. Very, very, very important to help me find that structure, especially with the Genesis Live mapping feature that it has. I can actually map out everything I want in my area to fish. Look at the map, see if there's any underwater structure, you know, ledges, drop-offs, holes, troughs, things like that. Save my waypoints and then go back and fish those spots. Very, very, very helpful, other than just watching a sonar to try to get those holes. I love it. And down there, my LSU Go Tigers 5-gallon bucket. That's what I keep my big cast net in. And you see my remote hanging there for my trolling motor. Keep that there at all times. And then I've got my big ice chest sitting in the middle of my back deck, which normally does not sit there. When I'm fishing, I'll take that ice chest and move it to the front. Get it out of my way to keep my floor space nice and clean. Keep my life jackets down there in that box in our feet there. Rod holders. These brackets that you see on the rear of my boat, it's a divided system. I made these myself. This is based on the design that I watched on the Fishing and Stuff DIY YouTube channel. He made a set very similar for this for somebody that he knew for their boat. And that's kind of what inspired me to make these that look like this. If y'all haven't watched his channel, go check it out. If y'all like building stuff yourselves, it is a great source for learning how to do things yourselves and building what y'all want, how to set up your boats instead of just relying on going and buying the stuff. And as you can see, I have 3 rod holders apiece. I have a Monster Talon 0.33 in the corners on each side. That way I can do either suspending or I can pick them up to the 33 angle. And the other 2 on each one are actually some homemade rod holders that I made myself. Again, based on the Fishing and Stuff YouTube channel. He makes some of these too. And they're about at a 35, 40 degree angle. Not the exact science, I just made them. And right there you see my big Mercury 115 4-stroke in the back. And another anchor rope bag with another 300 feet of rope and a Danforth style anchor. That way, if I want to, I can double anchor this boat. I've got 300 feet of rope front and back. I can anchor in just about any situation I need. I'm ready. I've got what I need. Now here, towards the front of the boat, on this side, and I've got one on that side too, I've got 2 more of the Monster Talons mounted on a homemade bracket that goes in my VersaTrack. Once again, inspired by the Fishing and Stuff DIY channel. He made some of these also for a boat. It allows me to do 2 things. Well, actually 3. 1, I don't have to drill any holes in my boat. 2, I can take these on and off whenever I want. And 3, if I want to, I can loosen those 2 thumb screws and slide them back and forth, up and down the boat, anywhere I want. So if I need a different position on the rod holders, I can do that with these really, really easy. And they are tough as nails. I've caught a few big fish on these before, and it, no problem at all. Handles these big river fish all day long. So in a nutshell, that's her. So when you see us out there in the river doing my videos, normally you only get this shot right here, out the back of the boat. But this is what the rest of it looks like. This is what anybody, it's what everybody doesn't get to see in all the rest of my videos. All right, just looking at the back of the boat, this boat here has called what they call sponson pods on them. We call them beaver tails. They're flotation pods. It helps this big boat sit out of the water a little higher, especially with this big motor on the back. And as you can see by the water line here by the motor, you see how high this thing sits in the water. I'm not drafting very much water at all. And that's with all this weight on the back end, my big ice chest and everything else. So it really, really does a good job. And right here, I got my boat buckles set up. I do not have them bolted to my trailer, like what most people do, simply because I don't want to get them wet all the time. You know, I find, for me personally, it's better. You can see I rigged them right here with a little screw shackle and a hook. I use them like a ratchet strap. That's what works for me. You know, because I'm just not so sure about bolting them to the trailer and getting them wet all the time and them getting corroded. It's easier for me just to do it like that. That way they never get wet. And here you see that big long 3-in-1 transducer mounted for my Lowrance Elite unit. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the gear that y'all see me use in the video. So rods, reels, lines, tackle, things like that. The first rod that y'all see me use is this one right here, which is a B&M Silvercat Elite 7.5 foot medium action. Y'all seen them in a lot of people's videos. Y'all know all about these rods. The reels that I use all Penn Warfare reels. On all 4 of my rods, the Penn Warfare is what I use. This one here is the 20 size with the level wind in it. And I have it spooled with 40-pound Suffix mono. Now I install the reel clamps. Do I need them with these aluminum reel seats? Probably not. It's a little added insurance, adds some stability, plus gives a nice place to put your hooks or a lanyard, depending on how you like to fish. And the rig I have on this rod, which I have 2 rods with this same rig, I just use a 3-way crane swivel. I've got some 25-pound mono and just with a loop tied to whatever lead that I want to use. And then my leader is 80-pound KastKing down to some Gamakatsu 8/0 octopus circles tied with a snail knot. And I have my 2 little Versa rattles, like on all of my rigs. I use Versa rattles on everything I have. And depending on what I'm doing, where I'm fishing, I may change leader length or my dropper loop length, depending on what kind of fishing we're trying to do. Okay, this next rod, actually one of the first big catfish rods that I ever bought. This is a B&M Silvercat Magnum, but it's the older generation Magnum with the paracord handles, a little different color to the rod, graphite reel seat, and it has the inserts in the guides instead of all stainless like they're made now. Again, Penn Warfare, just like all my others. Now this is the only one that I have in the 15 size, and you can see how the spool is just a little bit narrower than all the others. It makes for a little bit of a lighter setup, but it's the same gear ratio, same drag system. I have it with the same type of line, the 40-pound Suffix, and this one too, I have it with the same 3-way rig as I did on the other rod, except I replaced my dropper line for my sinker just with a heavy snap. So I was suspending this rod. I had a really heavy homemade weight on it, so I decided just to use the snap on it. But same thing, 8/0 Gamakatsu, 2 Versa rattles on it. And what I call my big rods, I have 2 set up identical to this. I'm just going to show you one of them. B&M Silvercat Magnum, but the new generation Magnums with the all aluminum reel seat and the cork handles. Now you may notice, if the video catches it right, that cork handle is very shiny. It's got a lot of depth, a lot of color to it. What I did when these rods were brand new out the box, I put 3 coats of clear polyurethane on them. Let them dry. And not only does it protect that cork from other weathering, nothing will soak into them, no blood, no fish guts, anything like that. It'll keep them weatherproof, and they look awesome. It really brings out the grain of that cork. I think it's real pretty. Same reel as the Elite, Penn Warfare 20. Got it spooled with the same 40-pound Suffix on it. And this is my this is my go-to rig that I use more than anything. Carolina rig like you see everybody else use. Nothing different about it. Carolina rig with a sinker slide. I still got my lead on it. I got a bead. I've got these big 250-pound test swivels on there. Got my trusty 80-pound Cast King leader. Down to my 8/0 gammas with my Versa rattles. So I don't get real complicated with my rigs. I don't. I keep it simple. It works for me. It catches me fish. If I stop catching fish, then I'll decide I'm going to change something. But there's just some of the equipment that I use. See, guys, I was filming this video for y'all, showing y'all my rigs. And I always have a habit. I feel my line. I check everything out really, really good after each trip. And if I need to do, I re-rig anything. I don't know if y'all can see this, but right here, let's see, where was it at? Right here. There's a burr in that line. Now, it's hard to see, but it got a burr right there in that line. It's got a rough spot in it. See, there's another one up here. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Doesn't want to quite focus in on it. But there's a rough spot in that line right there. Yeah, I think y'all can see that right there. That abrasion in that line, that'll cost you a big fish. Let me tell you something, you hook into some of these 50, 60-pound catfish like we've caught in the past in that heavy current, any little mistake, it'll make you pay. And had I not ran my fingers down that line, I would have never noticed that. The most important tool y'all can have in your tackle box is these right here. Pass on that line, feel everything. If something doesn't feel right, change it out. Fishing line is too cheap not to replace and cost you that big fish, especially if that's the only bite you had all day and you lose that big fish, it hurts. Trust me. Ask me how I know that. Also, another good tip I can give to y'all to make sure y'all don't miss anything. Have yourselves a checklist. Maybe not on paper, but just mentally. But always do the same things at the same time. I have a routine when I get home. I get out the boat, clean whatever fish I got to clean if we decide to keep some that day. But before I go inside, while I'm still hot, sweaty, nasty, smelling like fish, slime, everything else, I take my 4 rods, I'll look at them, I feel the line, see if anything needs to be changed, and I loosen all my drags. I do not leave my drags tightened on my reels, because over time they can freeze up on you. That way when I'm ready to go fishing, as I'm setting my rods in my holders, getting my stuff ready, I give it a little pull, make sure everything's free, then I tighten my drag however I want. It gets me in the habit of checking those drags, making sure everything is set the way I want it to fish that day. So a good tip for y'all. Same thing, the same way, the same order. Make a routine. That way you don't forget and everything will go smooth for you next time. And that's that much less you have to think about every time you go fishing. That way you can worry about other things that you need to be worried about, like where you're going to fish, what store you're going to buy beer at if you don't catch fish. Thank y'all. All right, well, sitting in my little room at the house, looking over videos, doing some editing, see if I can make another video for y'all. Unfortunately, this weekend's trip didn't go the way I wanted it. Didn't catch a thing. Skunked. Could not get the skunk out the boat. It happens. It's fishing a stretch of river that I'm not extremely familiar with. I normally go fishing in the Mississippi, Chafalaya area, what we call 3 rivers around the house. I'm more familiar with it. I've patterned those fish. I'm usually more successful. I'm determined I want to fish that stretch of the Red River simply because there is little to no commercial pressure. I'm convinced there's good fish in there. I know there are because there's people I talk to, set trot lines, set noodles here and there. They catch nice fish. I can't get it figured out. I can't, but I will. I am bound and determined I will figure them out. But that kind of goes to what I wanted to say is, don't be afraid of skunking. You'll never learn anything new, learn a new area if you're afraid of not catching fish. It happens. I don't care how good the fisherman is, they still skunk. You might not see it on video, they still do. I do it all the time. I'm like y'all. I am not a professional at this. You know, I have been trophy catfishing for a few years now. I fished all my life, just never really trophy catfish specifically. I'm still learning a lot of things, making a lot of mistakes, but I go out, I go fish, I keep notes on what's working and what's not working. When I do get these fish in Red River figured out, I will definitely share it with y'all, because it's the river's set up different than what I'm used to. But it's a learning experience. Don't be afraid of not catching. Don't let that keep you from going fish at spots you've never fished before. You know, or going to that lake that you've always wanted to go fish, but you're just intimidated because you don't know the layout, you don't know if you're gonna catch. Go. If you don't go, I promise you, you will never catch a fish in that body of water. You're guaranteeing that. If you've got a line in the water, you've got a chance. You know, go. If you catch fish, make a note of what you did. If you don't catch fish, make notes of what you did. That way you can not do that again. Maybe it's the conditions. Maybe it was the moon phase. Maybe it was the bait. Maybe it was the time of day. Could have been a little bit of everything. But take good notes and don't be afraid. Go fishing. Put some lines in the water. I promise you, you stick with it, you're gonna catch. It worked for me, it'll work for y'all. Thank y'all.